Free yourself from ego's grip and discover conscious living today. We all live under the heavy hand of the ego, don't we? It whispers in our ears, urging us to protect our fragile sense of self, to seek validation, and to cling to an image of who we think we are. But what if I told you this very voice that you trust is the same one that binds you in chains? What if I told you the ego is the veil separating you from a life of true freedom, clarity, and conscious living? Today, we embark on a journey to uncover the truth of who you are beyond the ego's grasp. This isn't just about spiritual jargon or abstract concepts. This is about you, your life, your choices, your freedom. The ego thrives on control, doesn't it? It builds walls of separation, convincing you that you are alone, different, or superior. It feeds on comparison and thrives in conflict. Think about the last time you felt slighted, judged, or wronged. Was it really you who felt that way? Or was it the ego, clutching at its need to be seen and respected? Let's pause here. Ask yourself, who am I when I strip away my job title, my possessions, my accomplishments, and even my name? If you're quiet enough, you might feel a slight unease. That's the ego's discomfort. It resists the question because it knows the answer threatens its very existence. But beyond that unease lies something extraordinary, a silent, unshakable awareness that is your true self. We spend our lives in a state of reaction, don't we? Someone cuts us off in traffic, and we get angry. We scroll through social media and feel envious. These reactions feel so automatic, as though they are inevitable. But have you ever stopped to ask, who is reacting? Who is watching this anger, this envy, this fear? When you step back and observe, you realize you are not the anger. You are not the envy. You are the awareness behind it. And this realization is the first step toward freedom from the ego's grip. Imagine you're holding a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the mud will never settle, and the water will stay murky. But if you set the glass down and allow it to be still, the mud settles, and the water becomes clear. Your mind works the same way. The ego thrives on constant motion, thinking, comparing, planning, regretting. But when you allow yourself to be still, clarity emerges. This clarity is the gateway to conscious living. But conscious living isn't about perfection or endless bliss. It's about presence. It's about showing up fully for your life without the filter of the ego. It's about tasting your food instead of eating mindlessly, listening to a friend without planning your response, and walking outside without being lost in thought. Now let me ask you this: what would your life look like if you stopped living from the ego's need for validation? What if you lived each moment as it is, without judgment, without labels? The ego is cunning. It will try to make you think this journey is impossible, that you need years of meditation or guidance from some enlightened master. But the truth is, you don't need to become something new. You simply need to remember what you already are. Try this, the next time you feel the ego pulling you into reaction. Pause. Take a deep breath and ask, who is noticing this? The very act of noticing creates distance between you and the ego. In that space, even if it's just for a moment, you are free. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require anything external. You don't need a quiet room, special tools, or years of study. All you need is the willingness to turn inward and question what you've always taken for granted. But let's not sugarcoat it. This journey is not easy. The ego will resist every step of the way. It will tell you this is nonsense, that you're wasting your time. It will distract you with endless thoughts and emotions. And yet, the fact that you're still listening, still seeking, means you're ready. So, here's the challenge for the next 24 hours. Practice observing your thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. When the ego whispers, "This is who you are," simply smile and say, "Thank you for sharing." As you do this, you may begin to notice something extraordinary. The grip of the ego will loosen, and you'll catch glimpses of what it means to live consciously. These glimpses may be fleeting at first, but they will grow. And with each glimpse, you will come closer to the truth of who you are. Now, let's dive deeper into this exploration. The courage to let go, embracing presence over illusion. Why is it so hard to let go? Why do we cling to identities, possessions, relationships, and beliefs, even when they cause us pain? The ego feeds on attachment. It convinces you that without these things, you are nothing. But what if the opposite is true? What if letting go is the only way to discover everything? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip it, the more it slips through your fingers. Now imagine opening your hand and allowing the sand to rest gently on your palm. Notice how much more you can hold when you stop trying to control it. This is what it means to let go. But letting go requires courage. It means facing the fear that comes with stepping into the unknown. It means releasing the illusion of control and trusting that life will unfold as it should. And this trust is not blind faith. It is a deep knowing that you are part of something much greater than the ego's narrow perspective. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? It could be a past hurt, a limiting belief, or even an idea of who you think you should be. Take a moment to name it. Bring it into your awareness. And then, imagine what your life would feel like without it. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to the flow of life. It means surrendering to the present moment without resistance. When you do this, something magical happens. The struggle dissolves, and you begin to experience life as it is, not as the ego wants it to be. But this process is not linear. There will be times when the ego fights back, pulling you into its drama. It will tell you that you're losing yourself, that you're becoming weak. But remember this, letting go is not a loss. It is a return to your natural state of peace and presence. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you feel resistance, whether it's to a situation, a person, or even yourself, pause. Take 3 deep breaths and ask, what am I resisting right now? Then ask, what would happen if I let go of this resistance? You may be surprised at how much lighter you feel. The ego thrives on illusions. It creates stories about the past and fantasies about the future, keeping you trapped in a cycle of regret and anxiety. But the present moment, this very moment, is free from those illusions. It is pure, unfiltered reality. Have you ever truly experienced the present moment? Not as an idea or a concept, but as a living, breathing reality? If not, try this. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Notice the sensations in your hands, your feet, your chest. This is the present moment. It is simple, yet profound. Now, consider this: if the present moment is all there is, why do we spend so much time running from it? The ego will tell you the present isn't enough. It will push you to chase after more success, more approval, more possessions. But no matter how much you achieve or acquire, it will never be satisfied. True satisfaction comes not from having, but from being. And being is only possible when you let go of the need to control, to achieve, to prove. It is in the stillness of being that you discover the freedom you've been searching for. But being present doesn't mean ignoring the challenges of life. It means meeting them with clarity and courage. When you let go of the ego's judgments and expectations, you see challenges for what they are, opportunities for growth and transformation. Think about the last time you faced a difficult situation. Did you resist it? Or did you embrace it? Did you cling to the ego's need to be right? Or did you approach it with an open heart and mind? When you live consciously, challenges become teachers. They show you where you are still holding on, where the ego still has a grip. And with each challenge, you have the opportunity to let go a little more, to trust a little deeper. Now, let's return to the question, who am I when I let go of everything I think I am? Sit with this question. Don't rush to answer it. Let it work its way into your awareness, like a seed planted in fertile soil. The answers won't come from the mind. They will arise from the stillness within you, from the part of you that knows without knowing, that sees without seeing. As we prepare to move into the final part of this journey, let me leave you with this: freedom is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. It is already within you, waiting to be discovered. The art of awakening, living beyond the illusion of self. What does it mean to awaken? To awaken is not to gain something new, but to remember what has always been. It is the recognition that the self you've identified with, this collection of thoughts, emotions, and roles, is not who you truly are. Think about it: we spend our entire lives building and protecting an identity. I am this. I am not that. I am successful. I am a failure. These labels become the foundation of the self. But are they real? Or are they just stories the ego tells to sustain its existence? Let's explore this deeply. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what is the I that I keep referring to? Is it my body? My mind? My thoughts? If you watch closely, you'll notice something fascinating. Everything you identify with, the body, the mind, the thoughts, is constantly changing. But if everything changes, then what remains? What remains is awareness. This awareness is not bound by time or space. It is not affected by the highs and lows of life. It simply is. And this awareness is your true nature. But how do we live from this awareness? How do we embody it in a world that constantly pulls us back into the ego's illusions? The first step is to cultivate presence. Presence is the art of being fully here, fully alive in this moment. It means letting go of the past, not as an act of forgetting, but as an act of releasing. It means stepping into the future, not with fear, but with trust. Ask yourself, how often am I truly present? When I'm eating? Am I tasting my food? When I'm with loved ones? Am I really listening? Or am I lost in thought? Living beyond the illusion of self doesn't mean you abandon your responsibilities or your individuality. It means you approach life with a different perspective. Instead of seeing yourself as a separate entity, you begin to see yourself as part of the whole. This shift changes everything. Suddenly, life is no longer a competition. You no longer need to prove your worth or defend your identity. You realize that your value is intrinsic. That it doesn't depend on what you do or what others think of you. But awakening is not a destination. It is a practice. A daily commitment to step out of the ego's narrative and into the truth of the present moment. And this practice begins with awareness. The next time you feel the pull of the ego, whether it's through anger, fear, or desire, pause. Take a deep breath and ask, who is experiencing this? Who is watching this thought or feeling? This question creates a gap. A moment of clarity where you can step back and see the ego for what it is, a construct, a story, an illusion. But don't stop there. Take it a step further. Begin to question the very foundation of the ego's narrative. When it tells you, you are not enough, ask, according to whom? When it says, you need more to be happy, ask, why? These questions are like sunlight breaking through the clouds. They illuminate the ego's lies and reveal the truth. You are already whole. You are already free. Now, let's talk about love. Not the romanticized version we see in movies, but the deep, unconditional love that arises when you live from awareness. This love is not about possession or attachment. It is not about needing someone to complete you. It is the love that flows naturally when you realize that you and the other are not separate. Have you ever looked at a sunset or a flower and felt a sense of wonder and connection? That feeling is love. It is the recognition of oneness. The knowing that beneath the surface, we are all the same. When you live from this love, everything changes. Relationships become less about what you can get and more about what you can give. Challenges become less about struggle and more about growth. Life becomes less about surviving and more about thriving. But love is not something you can force or create. It arises naturally when you let go of the ego's grip and step into the truth of who you are. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you lived from love instead of fear? What if, in every moment, you chose connection over separation, compassion over judgment, presence over distraction? This is the art of awakening. It is not a path of perfection but a path of practice. It is not about achieving something extraordinary but about embracing the ordinary with extraordinary awareness. As we bring this journey to a close, let me leave you with one final thought. Awakening is not a gift reserved for the few. It is your birthright. It is who you are beneath the layers of conditioning and illusion. The only question is, are you willing to let go of who you think you are to discover who you truly are? Thank you for being here. For listening. For seeking. The journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. So go out into the world. Not as the person you were yesterday, but as the awareness you are today. Live fully. Love deeply. And awaken completely.